I have been having a lot of conversations lately regarding falling real estate prices, rising rates, and I'm sure I'm starting to sound like a broken record, so I'm not going to explain why it's all happening. I think by now we all have somewhat of an understanding. A lot of people, at least what I'm finding, are wanting to make a purchase, but because of the media and how they do such a good job at creating attention-grabbing headlines, and really unless you're speaking with an industry professional who's obsessed with this stuff, people are often not getting the entire picture. So let's take a trip down memory lane and compare the two markets and what it actually means to your bank account. So in today's video, we are gonna spill the tea and I'm gonna go over three things. I'm gonna compare February 2022 rates and prices to now prices and now rates. I'll also answer the question of should you wait for rates to decrease before purchasing a property and how much money you're actually saving even in a high rate environment. So grab your favorite beverage and buckle up. Because in many instances, it's actually better to purchase a property at today's price with higher rates versus if you were shopping for a home in the heat of the market when rates were lower. My name is Alice Prince. I am a broker with Royal LePage Signature and I run a real estate team here in the GTA called Prince & Co. And we primarily help people buy and sell properties in York Region, Durham Region, and Toronto. Now, if you would like to book a phone call to chat, use the link in the description below to book a time that is convenient for you. It's super easy. Just plug in your name. And if I could please ask you for a huge favor, if you like videos like this one, hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps the algorithm grow and get this video in front of more awesome people like you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here. All right, guys, so I just want to share this little calculator here with you just to compare two moments in time. Obviously, we're going to be looking at where prices were high and rates were low, and then we're going to be looking at prices are low and rates are high and seeing what that means to you on a monthly basis. Now, something that I do recommend, and I think a lot of agents would recommend, is to speak to a mortgage broker first and foremost to see if it makes sense to you. If it doesn't, then obviously that's okay. This is just for illustrative purposes, and so in today's video we're going to be looking at detached homes in the GTA and what that looked like at the beginning of last year versus where we are almost 12 months later. Now we're going to be using, like I mentioned, the example of the average price of a detached home in the GTA just to keep things simple, but I'm more than happy to share this calculator with you and you can plug in your average prices for your area, your asset class that you and those actual numbers for your specific situation. I will put it in the link below. All you have to do is just leave me your email address and it will automatically be sent to you. Now in February 2022, which was the absolute peak of the market, the average price of a detached home in the GTA was just shy of $1.8 million. Fast forward to today, the average price of a detached home in the GTA has come down about 25% to $1.341 million. And in February 2022, the fixed rate mortgage was about 3.69% versus now at 5.24%. And I would actually argue that in most instances, lenders are offering less, but for the sake of this video, let's just use the highest rates possible. Now, when we look at qualifying rates, it's basically taking your interest rate or your contract rate and adding that 2%, which is essentially known as the mortgage stress test. Now, people who are buying at today's prices, their debt to income ratio needs to be able to qualify for these rates right here, but you're actually, what you're going to be paying on a monthly basis is going to be this minus that 2%. Which is essentially the stress test, which basically acts as a buffer should rates increase during the time that you've owned the home, which is something that we've seen. So let's say you wanted to purchase a home last year and you found the home of your dreams and it cost you $1.8 million. You would be required to put a down payment of about $360,000, which would leave you with a mortgage of $1.437 million. But most people don't pay for their homes in cash and their budgets are broken down on a monthly basis. So you would need to be able to afford $8,275 per month to qualify for this $1.8 million purchase on top of other obligations and your lifestyle, because let's all get serious. We all love to go from time to time. And if you're like me, you like to order Uber Eats. So you would need to show that you can be comfortable spending $8,275 per month on your home, even though your actual mortgage is about $1,700 less at $6,586. Basically, your household income would need to be $273,000. And if it's you and your partner, and let's say that income was split down the middle, just to keep it simple, basically you guys would need to earn about $136,000. But let's jump ahead to compare it to where we are now. So the same $1.8 million house, let's say that it has decreased in value and now it is worth $1.341 million, even though those are average price points, but just for the sake of this example, you can see here that although your interest rates are higher, you save about $700 per month on your monthly mortgage. And you're also putting less of a down payment down. So in conclusion, you are saving about $455,000 on your purchase price. You're saving about $90,000 on down payment. Your mortgage is about $364,000 less, and you're saving about $700 less on a monthly basis, and the balance on maturity of your mortgage is $304,000 less. Now you may be thinking, but Alice, you're actually paying more interest over that term. And although you are correct, something that I want you to keep in mind is that you're actually purchasing an appreciating asset. Sure, there's going to be dips and blips along the way, and we can argue in how much that asset appreciates, but historically speaking, over the long term, real estate values have increased because the fundamentals remain strong. If we were to compare the entire year of 2022 and all that has happened with rates rising, home values dropping from their peak, we're still up yearly 8% in the GTA over 2021. Now, most people buy properties with the intention on holding on to them for long term, and those people are usually the ones that do well. And I understand right now there's people unfortunately out there who are facing challenging times, and if that's you, know that there's actually options available to you. And I would really start with contacting my mortgage rep and seeing what options make the most sense to my specific situation. You'd actually be surprised at all the products that are available to you. Now, people who usually get burned in real estate are the ones who see a hot market coming, purchase a property, they renovate it, they try and time the market to then flip it. Sometimes it works out and sometimes it can end really, really bad. So the question now becomes, should you wait to buy or wait for rates to decrease? Now, something to keep in mind is that we have a pretty large population already in the GTA. Last year in Canada, we welcomed 500,000 new immigrants, and those people will need somewhere to live, obviously. Most of them are obviously going to want to transfer over to home ownership, just given all the benefits of it, which will naturally increase demand. Now, over the next few years, Canada actually has a pretty aggressive immigration target, and for more details on that, check out the government's website. So although the data is showing that sales are down half of what they were before, which is obvious, we can expect that. That does not mean that people's dreams of home ownership is dead. But what that's telling me is that there's pent-up demand brewing, because majority of people right now are feeling the same way, just like you are, and they're waiting for prices to either decline more, rates to drop, and they're trying to time the market. So in addition to demand festering, we have a supply issue here in the GTA. I think I actually made a video about this previously, so go back and check that out and search for that on my channel. I won't get too much into it because I can make a whole other video on that, and that's a whole separate conversation. But basically, demand has outweighed supply for a very long time, and most people want that turnkey, beautiful, move-in, ready, showstopper home. And to be honest, not all the properties fit that criteria, so that further squeezes that supply number. And we know what happens when buyers are all looking for the same thing and there isn't enough of it to go around. That's when we start seeing things like bidding wars, we start seeing price increases, we start seeing more firm offers being made. Just to show you guys really quickly, again, this visual, again, peak of the market was in February. We know it, prices were incredibly high. Then we saw interest rate increase, and you can see that home values came back down. But interestingly, they started going sideways since about June and July. Now you may be wondering, well, why? Well, simple, it's supply and demand. During the falling price era, sellers were nervous and scrambling to sell their houses, right? More than anything, I think that consumer psychology was at play here, but people obviously needed to sell, so they reduced the price to set them apart from their competition to hopefully find that right buyer. And in this graph, you can see the yellow line represents listings, and listings were rising at the start of 2020. And this was new inventory coming onto the market each month, and then it started to decline. So sellers were not bringing their homes onto the market because then they would have to become buyers, and that whole cycle continues. Everyone was really nervous and trying to navigate exactly what this new environment means to them. And if we were to look at what's happening with sales, they're also moving downwards and following the same pattern as listings, which is interesting, and this is why prices have stayed relatively pretty flat. Obviously, some areas and housing types and also different price segments are going to react differently. And as we move into the spring market, you will hear of areas like Durham region start becoming more active again because the demand in that area is so high, since in many cases you can get a detached home for under that $1 million mark, which affords people the ability to put down less than 20%, because anything over $1 million, you are required to put down 20%. So taking all that into consideration, I think we will see prices remain fairly flat for the near future. We may see a small uptick in price during the spring months, but nothing compared to what we've seen previously. And I believe that demand will be strong in areas that it makes sense for people on an affordability scale. So places like Durham region and maybe the condo market will start to see a little bit more action. Durham region is attractive to a lot of buyers because of its proximity to the city. Its average price point, as I mentioned, is also now under $1 million, which allows buyers to put down less than 20% in most instances. And you can get a detached home for under that $1 million mark, which is what majority of the people want. I also think that buyers will find themselves competing again for properties because there just simply is not enough quality properties hitting the market. But as we move forward, I think the real estate market will continue to be fragmented, in my opinion at least, meaning some homes will sit on the market for longer and some homes will sell quickly. It really comes down to how you're positioned in the market, understanding the fundamentals of what drives prices, the product, and the price. Now, if you found an ounce of value from this video, please share it, like it, subscribe to my channel, and I will catch you on the next one.